Representative Wilde.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and friends. I will be a no on the rules today. I appreciate all the thought that went into the provisions regarding the viral load and our procedures here today, but I believe we simply strayed too far from the principles of representative democracy. We say that we're often in an emergency and we need to decide quickly, and sometimes that's true. But far more often, we could take the time to hear more voices and make better policies, and we're choosing not to. We are choosing to defer to our leadership and to the emergency board and ignoring our duty to the people to hear all the voices. My friend Mike McLean used to say, all we have is our voice and our vote. We're choosing to ignore too many voices in service to a false efficiency. After all, if we don't take the time to do it right now, how will we find the time to do it over later? We are seeing the consequences of these choices play out. For instance, this week I discovered that the municipal coronavirus relief funds have been disproportionately allocated to Portland by a factor of 4 when measured per person compared to my district. I'm sure no one intended this, but our failure to take the time to hear more voices and to spend the money through the legislature and not the e-board has led us to this. Are my people somehow less needy? The unemployment rate in Lane County is the same as in Portland. The average income in my district is less than that in Portland. But time after time, we see these funds allocated to Portland, either directly or through distribution through nonprofits located in Portland area. We've been sleepwalking toward this outcome for months, but now that we're awake to it, we're choosing not to address it. Why? Because we're in a hurry. We don't want to be here. That's understandable, but that's not a good reason not to take the time to draft a better budget document. Accepting that this wasn't intentional, I'd like to fix it. I'd like to require that the future distributions of federal aid from the e-board consider a geographical per capita distribution, but I can't. These rules don't allow it. In fact, the LC has told me that I can't even have legislation drafted. Of course, there are so many other things we could offer for discussion. Restoring cuts to reproductive health care, addressing the false efficiency of cuts to CCOs in a pandemic, addressing the fact that almost 2/3 of the in-state students at our public universities have unmet need-based financial aid requirements, and addressing the Oregon Forest Resources Institute's illegal lobbying and attacks against Oregon State University, just to name a few. But it's not just about what I'd like to do. So many of you on both sides of the aisle have good ideas that merit discussion, like our colleague Representative Moore Green, who wants to allow postmarking of ballots until the day of election in light of the Postal Service's troubles. I spoke with the Independent Party of Oregon about it as well, and they're generally supportive of the concept. Many of us agree on it, but we can't even get that concept drafted. Why not? The leadership controls all the bills in the special session, regardless of the party in power. Why should this be so? Should we not take a small stand for representative democracy today? Today I will be a no on the rules, and I encourage you to join me. In particular, we should vote no against the rules because of Rule 12.00, which reads, quote, "Introduction and sponsorship. No measure shall be accepted by the chief clerk for introduction except measures approved by the speaker." End quote. Let's send these rules back to allow submission of member bills. It won't change anything this session. After all, we couldn't get bills drafted, so we don't have them in hand. But it will send a message that, in the future, we should consider all the voices that will help us craft solutions for our state's challenges. Thank you, and I urge a no vote.